So, welcome to part 2 of the study guide. Go ahead and hop in right here. What you're going to notice is right here, the arrow I'm pointing to, I've broken apart this equation here. I'm broken apart what each part of this equation means. So if you want to, go ahead and pause this video and just write these things out. I'll zoom in a little bit to make it easier to see. Okay, now what it's looking at is we have compounding interest, and you're investing $250 for 10 years with an interest rate of 1.3%. So it wants to just set up and evaluate, like, what's your final amount going to be? What's the, like right here, set up and evaluate, what's the final amount going to be? So let's write the things that we know. So P equals 250. R, remember, it's going to be as a decimal, so you do 1.3 divided by 100 to go from a decimal to a percent. I mean, from percent to decimal, so that gives you 0.013. My N is going to be given, so right here, yearly, quarterly, monthly, daily. Yearly is going to compound, so N equals 1. It's going to compound once a year. Quarterly is going to give me 4 times a year. Monthly is going to give me 12 times a year. And then daily is going to be 365 times a year. Okay. So all you have to do is just type it into your calculator just like this. So 250 P is that. 1 plus 0.013 over, and my N here is 1, and then 1 times my time is 10 years, so 10, and I forgot T equals 10. So you type that in your calculator. So let me do that really quick. 250 plus okay, so that gives you, rounded to the nearest cent or hundredths place, 284.47. And then all you have to do here for each one is just go through on your calculator and then just change this, change your N, right? That's all that's changing in the equation. So going through and changing that, like changing the 1 to a 4. You'll notice that it's not going to change a whole lot. So right here, my A would be 284.65. Here, my A would be, just going through and typing it in. Here, I would change my 4, or originally a 1, to a 12. 12 times 10. So 284.69. It's not a huge difference. To 84.71. Right, so you're just going in there and just changing that highlighted number every time, and those should be the answers that you get. Now, it says, next question. And you'll notice this whole section right here, 12 and 13, are both going to use this same equation right here. Okay? Now, I want to save up for a PlayStation 5, which costs $500. Okay, so go over here and write out your things. A, P, R, N, T. That just makes it helpful to organize it. So I have $500. So for me to be able to save up for the PlayStation, I have to end up with $500. Okay, my final amount has to be that. So $500. I only have 3 years to save, so my time is 3, and I currently have $400 in my account, so I'm starting with $400. And we're going to say here, it doesn't say in the problem, but it's going to compound once. So compounds yearly. Okay, so it's just going to compound one time per year. Okay, so we don't know the rate. So we just have to set up our equation here. So 500 equals 400, 1 plus x. We don't know our rate, or we could say r instead. So r over 1 to the 1 times 3. Okay. Now, let's just go through and solve this here. So, if I simplify everything first, I have 400, then 1 plus r. R divided by 1 just gives me r to the third power. So, going ahead, I have to divide by 400 first. It's going to give me 1.25. 25 equals 1 plus r to the third. So now, the whole issue here is I have to get the 3 to go away, right? And this is cubed. So to undo that, I need to do the cubed root. Need to do the cubed root. So I get the cube root of 125. Let me take that. So basically to do this, all you need to do is type in math 5. So right here, math on your calculator, math 5, and that gives you 1.077 roughly equals 1 plus r. And then here, what you would need to do is just subtract 1, and that gives you r equals 0.77. And really, what you end up with is 0.077, and then I need to go from decimal to percent, so I do 0.077 times 100, which would give me that I would need 7.7% as my interest rate, okay? And notice, if that way doesn't make sense, you could rewrite it, and use the log powers. So log base 1 plus r of 1.25 equals 3, but that's just going to make things a lot harder than it needs to be, in my opinion. So I would just stick to this way. So now, write an equation that models the amount of money on your credit card account. And notice we've made a switch. So this next section, we're just going to use this A equals P E R to the T. Remember, E on your calculator is going to be second ln. So to get to E on your calculator, you're going to do second ln. It's 2.718. It's not a variable, it's just the natural number, natural base. So it's going to charge you 15% interest compounded continuously. Okay, and the continuously is where the E comes in. If you don't pay your balance, and your current balance is $10.80. So what will you owe after 2 years if you don't pay your credit card bill? So let's see what we have. We're going to write out our parts here. A equals P equals R equals and T equals. So first off, what will you owe? So we don't know our A. Our P, like our current balance, is 1080. So where we're starting at is 1080. Our R is 15%. So 15%, so 15 divided by 100 gives me that. And then my time is 2 years. So let's write that out. A equals, let me zoom in just a tad bit. So A equals P, which is 1080, times E to the 0.15 times my time, 2. So just type this in your calculator. So you're going to type in 1080 times second ln will give you E, so 0.15 times 2. And anytime we're working with money, if you're working with money, round to nearest cent. So that's going to give me 1457.85. So my balance after 2 years, think this is how crazy credit cards are just in general too, just general knowledge. My final balance, right, if I don't pay my credit card off, I'm going to end up with almost $400 or more just in 2 years that I had to pay with a certain balance of about $1,000. That's how crazy credit cards can get. Now, let's look at this, a virus problem. And once again, these are very similar to test questions. So a virus is spreading continuously through a community. Continuously just tells me to use the equation that it gives us. Testing showed that 168 people have it currently. So write out our variables, A, P, R, T. People currently have the virus, right? So when we start, my starting principle, my starting population here, okay? Because in these, P can also represent population. So my starting population is 168, okay? After 8 days, so my time is 8, 232 people are infected. So my final amount is 232. What is the rate? We don't know the rate, so let's set it up. So right here, we're going to have 232 equals 168. E to the, I'm going to write it as 8R, just because that's how you're used to seeing it, because it's R times T. I'm just going to put the T in front. We don't know what R is. So obviously the first thing we need to do is divide by 168 to get E by itself. And if you do this as a fraction, it's going to make your life a lot easier. So 232 divided by 168, and then go math frac. That's going to give you 29 over 21 equals E to the 8R. And what we've learned the whole time is to undo E, all we have to do is ln on both sides. ln on both sides, okay? And ln and E cancel out, and my 8R comes down, and then I just have ln of 29 over 21. Once again, right here, wait to type it in your calculator. Wait to evaluate it. Just leave it exactly like this until everything's by itself, until the R is completely by itself. So this step right here, we divide that R away, the 8 away. We have R equals ln of 29 over 21 over 8. Okay? So right here, type that in your calculator now because R is finally by itself. So ln, which is beside the 4 on your calculator, so ln of 29 over 21 divided by 8 gives me 0.0403, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and remember, with rates, we want percentages, so you do 0.040, we'll say. And if you round to a different place than I do, that's okay. So 0.040 times 100 is going to give me a rate of about Okay, so that's the end of this section. If you have any questions, like I said, shoot me a quick email. Have a good day.